All right. Welcome back to another segment. This time around, we are going to dive into various things that is happening in the world of football, but most especially, we are going to talk about Chelsea. You understand? But before we dive into that properly, do it to like, share, and subscribe to this channel because on this space we give you trending football updates and 100% Chelsea. Yes. Let's start with the Nigeria game that will be coming up this international break. We have Lesotho, Abi?
Yeah, Lesotho versus Nigeria.
We have Lesotho and these people, Benin Republic,
yeah.
to play. Those are the two remaining World Cup qualifiers game to play. Do you see Nigeria? Is there any hope for us to go to this World Cup after the point deduction from South Africa?
Yes, there's hope. In my opinion, there is hope. It's left for them to do the needful anyways.
All right.
The hope is coming from the deduction points from South Africa, but it still doesn't really matter because if we don't do the needful, we can still be kicked out of the World Cup qualification. But the question of if there is hope, there is, because if South Africa or Benin should drop some points in some games and we see out these remaining two games, of course they're going to qualify. But the way I would want our Super Eagles coach Eric Chelle to approach games like this, I just hope he has the full control of the team selection, because I feel like at some point we normally do have people bringing their candidate for, okay, this is my player, you should play this one, you should play that one. Sometimes it can limit the coach from doing what is in his mind, like the kind of tactics he wants to field. But Eric Chelle,
So you want to say the most time
yes, he's being controlled.
Controlled.
He's not being given full control.
I don't think that's true.
But you know that it happens. The possibility is there. It can happen. When NFL that we know, they will select their own players.
But all the players that have been selected are good players.
Not definitely.
Good players.
When you say good players, what criteria are you using? There might be better players that could excel in that position. Like the fact that you have Ndidi playing midfield for you. It's not that Ndidi is not a good player, but Ndidi is not like he don't old. You need another good replacement for that position. You understand? And kudos to him. I know he was the one that brought Frederick Benjamin from that tournament they played where Jamaica was there. And you can see what Frederick Benjamin is doing in the Super Eagles squad currently now. So if there's any way he can switch things up, especially in our midfield areas, we need help in that area. And sometimes even maybe in the wing area, because Moses Simon that I know or that I saw in the last game, I don't know, Moses Simon has not really been performing like the way he was doing before. So maybe they need replacement. They need new faces. We need agile people who are ready to, perform. Look at Tolu, for example. When did Tolu enter the Super Eagles squad? Now look at what he's. At least anytime he comes up, we see his impact on the pitch. So sometimes new faces matters. When you leave all these old takers, then when they there, one be like say, yes, now that's what they be. When you leave them there, they will feel like, after all, now still we. They will not put in their 100%. They will not put in their best. But
so you feel that they should give space for other ones.
Yes, if possible. Even if it's to carry one good home-based player and bring and that would, because we need to qualify.
Scout it out for them.
Yes. You know how do me I did now. Give to no day. No,
do you see us going for the World Cup?
Yes, of course. But it will be a very big shame if at the end of the day South Africa, qualifies ahead of us after the points deduction.
It's quite a tight one. It's quite a tight one because it's not about you winning. Now, I think we need to go beyond the level of praying for others to lose because that will not certainly help the matter now. Now, this is it. Benin is ahead of us with 3 points. South Africa is ahead of us with 3 points. And all of us has the same number of games to play, which is two games each to determine who qualifies. If probably Benin and South Africa wins one of their game,
the chances are slim.
The chances are slim that we will qualify. Because you praying that South Africa should lose.
And Benin should draw.
Or Benin should probably lose.
Why not pray for yourself to win?
What will really help us now is that we need to score goals. because there is a possibility and there's a good probability that one of either of Benin or South Africa, we have a loss, and it might be 1-0. But what is the goal difference? Because if they certainly win one of their games, all of us are still ending in the same point. Now the goal difference will be the basis.
If they win all their game, there is not goal difference. Remember, they are topping.
I know. I mean, if they win one of their game and lost, if either of them win one of their game and lost one of their game, the issue now will not be for the goal difference, because the game that they will win, they will still score goal. So you that is just having your goal difference is just +1, because Nigeria is just having 1 goal as a plus. Yeah, I think from the table. Why South Africa is having 3, Benin is having 4. So are you seeing it's relevant that you score goals? Please, our coach.
Lesotho is the chance that we have.
Now look at Lesotho. I think when South Africa played Lesotho, or who played Lesotho or Benin, which of them played Lesotho, they give them 3-0. Why we drew to South Africa 1-1, Benin 1-3-0. Are you seeing how they are banging goals? But when it comes to our own part of it, once we just score 1-0, we are comfortable, and that is what made us drew the game against Zimbabwe at Uyo Stadium some months ago.
And that was very painful. That was one thing that would have decided our fate.
Exactly. But at this point, for me, I will not say I'm confident that we will qualify, but I trust God that we will qualify. I trust God.
All right, let's move over to Chelsea. You understand? Talking about Joao Pedro, because he's one player that since we signed him from Brighton, it was only during the speculation and during his good works in the FIFA Club World Cup that we were normally talking about him, you understand? Yeah. Since the Premier League this season, we have not really emphasized on his games. If I'm not mistaken, Joao Pedro has played about 7 games in the Premier League. These 7 games that we have played so far in the Premier League, he has been involved. Looking at Joao Pedro's current situation right now, because his rating has been very, very poor. Will you say it's due to form or tiredness or fatigue? What will you put Joao Pedro case in? How will you present Joao Pedro case? Because he has not been performing up to that level that we saw in the FIFA Club World Cup.
For Joao Pedro, I would just say it's a lack or a dip in form. It's a dip in form for me, because it's not just about him not scoring the goals. It's the build-up, the way he plays. Now, I always take people back. People will say, oh, he's not a natural striker. He likes to come back and beat with the midfielders. But even when he was doing that, we saw his effectiveness as a striker when Chelsea was playing the Club World Cup. We played against Fluminense and he showed his class there. Played against, I think, Palmeiras. I think it was in that game. He came in for Palmeiras a few minutes and he showed his class. Then in the Club World Cup final, earlier this season, I think some preseason games, he also showed that class. But for the past 3-4 games, Joao Pedro has really dropped. Not, like I said, not in terms of scoring goals only, but that build-up, that progressive playing. Sometimes, yes, he doesn't have the pace, but we still saw it in the Club World Cup. So what happened?
What has changed?
What has changed about it? So this is why I said this is just like a dip in form. And that's why I am trusting Maresca to give young men like Maguire the chance to at least, probably if it's fatigue, let him use that point and rest and gain his full fitness back. But there's something I want to say, and this is the thing that made me some months ago, I wasn't really in support of getting Joao Pedro as our main striker, because while he was playing for Brighton, he wasn't even their main striker. Most of the times you see Daniel Welbeck playing there, or you see Evan Ferguson playing there for Brighton. Joao Pedro was just coming in and out, and sometimes he was just playing as a 10 for them. You understand? So I was looking for that target man, that Haaland type of striker for Chelsea. That was why I wasn't really in support of why we buying Joao Pedro. Joao Pedro is not more like a target man for us. So sometimes the expectations we have of him, as that striker, is what is making us feel also that he's not really playing well. But generally, there's a dip in form. The other part of football of Joao Pedro, we're not really seeing it for this past 3 to 4 games.
All right. Do you have any contribution?
I think that there was a question you asked while you're talking. Well, you said there's a question you asked, but I think I remember. But the truth is that I agree partially to the fact that Joao Pedro has loose form recently. I agree partially to that fact. But the whole scenario remains that even the entire team has dropped form. Looking at the incidents in the team, the injuries, and whatever that is causing the limitations of our player. Now, Joao Pedro is not that real nine. And he's this type of man that he comes in, he scores more with the head. We've watched him, we've seen how good he scores with the head, good at area balls and the rest of it. But we need to understand the fact that even the team currently lacks that creativity. That is where the value of Palmer remains very, very high. Because at the absence of Palmer, we haven't had any player that has been doing that creative work. Like, I'll use instance for the Club World Cup. We played against PSG in the finals. Look at how he scored the goal. Yes, even aside from the Club World Cup, we played Fluminense where he had 2 goals. Yes, we saw the brilliance there. But coming to the Premier League and also to the Champions League, it has been quite tight for him. But that's not an excuse. But the truth is that we still lack that creative force. We still lack that creative force for sure. Nobody is really giving him, feeding him, just as the simple brilliance and intelligence that he's supposed to go on with, and nobody is really feeding him as it should be. And based on the incidents and the problems surrounding the team now, I think Maresca has also given him orientation of always drop back to support the defense, support the midfield.
I don't think it's Maresca. I think that's his own style of play.
I think Maresca, Maresca said that there is a way he wants to use Joao Pedro. He does not want to use Joao Pedro as a pure 9.
But do you know, when we talk about these things, the person that just comes to mind, I'm not comparing Nicolas Jackson to Joao Pedro, but when you watch Jackson, apart from the fact that he missed chances, Jackson is always opening up himself. Jackson is always, even when the defense is tight, you can actually give a pass to Jackson and he will run. This is quite a different Chelsea. Run for it.
This is quite a different Chelsea. What we are having currently, Palmer's injury and the rest of it, this is totally a different Chelsea.
But apart from Palmer, it's not just Palmer was not the only player who was giving passes to Jackson.
Then who is doing the pass?
But we watched the game. But we watched Joao Pedro during the FIFA Club World Cup.
Yes.
There was this slicking move he normally makes.
Apart from what I'm trying to give to people now to understand is making the runs as a striker. Making the runs as a striker.
Now let me tell you, in our past game, aside from the Liverpool game we had,
it
has been struggle from the start, struggle to the finish. Errors from the defense, weakening the team spirit, red cards that causes all players to fall back based on the coach instruction. So it has been up and down. And I think he has not, even Maresca said it, that he is not using Joao Pedro the way he wants to use him. I believe that he's just functioning based on Maresca's instruction. Because I see no reason why a striker should always be there. Maresca knows that this striker in person does not have pace, just as Haaland and the other top strikers. But you keep making this guy to fall back too much.
So you're saying Maresca is the sole...
No, I'm not saying... I know that partially. That's why I said I agree partially to the fact that Joao Pedro has dropped form. Because I watched him at the Club World Cup when he had the ball at the 18-yard box, how he placed the shots. And he gave us 2 goals for Fluminense. And why am I not seeing all those things in the Premier League? The opening you did against PSG.
Exactly.
Okay, I'll for sure say that, okay, because Palmer is not present and the Premier League is a bit tight. But
why are we always involving Palmer in this?
That's
because now the truth is that we have seen this Chelsea team. Okay, look at the goals we scored against Liverpool. Yes. Look at the person that is now coming to do the work for you, the defender, Cucurella, arriving and doing a very good job for you. Yeah, so you know say that Palmer still remains very relevant in the team. Because now
it's not about Palmer. It's not. We are talking about the play, Joao Pedro.
Yeah, we are talking about Joao Pedro because he has to. He's a striker. Now, okay, let me take it to Manchester City. Now take a look at Haaland. There's no time that Haaland has gotten the ball from the midfield and run down and scored the goal. No, it's either Reinders or Foden or Doku or Bernardo Silva based on their 4-1-4-1 formation. It's either any of them are creating the ball and Palmer has to do the finishing work. But take a look at Chelsea. Who is creating that scene for Joao Pedro? You know, it's as if we don't play with strikers in our games. For me, that's how I see it. It's as if we don't play with strikers in our games.
So,
Because certainly you see Joao Pedro at the 18-yard box, at half of the 18 yards, coming back to at half of the midfield, coming back to his own 18 yards. He's not supposed to be like that. He's supposed to mount. If they are pressing us, they are supposed to mount at that midfield position, half of the line, stay at our own lane and wait for the ball. When the ball comes,
The question now is that let's assume Joao Pedro is at the place where he wants him to be, and maybe Chelsea is having a counter attack or so, and the ball gets to him. There are two questions that comes to your mind. Joao Pedro, number one, does he know how to take on defenders? Can he dribble past a defender? Number two, does he has the pace to run with the ball enough? Maybe he can just, when you're running with the ball, anything can happen. You can just get to the post and, create a chance or something.
Now,
That's another question.
Let me give you the answer to that question. Very good. The answer to that question has already been answered because this is the same thing he did against Fluminense. Don't forget the 2 goals we scored Fluminense. One was a 1v1.
we know, but we are saying that what stopped
that is why
style of football.
For me, I'm picking the point that partially he has dropped form. And another thing is that the Chelsea team still lacks creativity. Forget the fact that we won Liverpool. We still lack creativity.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I guess that will be all for now. Do it to drop your thoughts at the comment section, and also don't fail to watch our next video by the right hand side. You can see it here. Don't fail to watch the video, and also don't fail to subscribe and follow the page. Thank you very much. I remain your humble boy Peters.
My name is Big Dave.
And my name is Gifto.